teacher motivation in briefly TM, Donier and Ushioda 2011 point out that there is a strong relationship between TM and the student's motivation. On page 158, they state the teacher's level of enthusiasm and commitment is one of the most important factors that can affect learners' motivation to learn. Broadly speaking, if a teacher is motivated to teach, there is a good chance that his or her student will be motivated to learn. Lent and Brown believes that school effectiveness is largely determined by student outcomes. Institutions should have a vested interest in understanding and monitoring their teachers' motivation to help maintain the highest quality of instruction, teaching practices, and professionalism. So what's motivation? Donier and Skehan 2003 define motivation as why people decided to do something, how long they are willing to sustain the activity, and how hard they are going to pursue it. However, scholars such as Al-Hori 2017, Donier and Ryan 2015, and Gardner 2010 point out that much of SLA motivation research is student-centered and therefore focuses on issues of identity. Unfortunately, many of these concepts mentioned previously do not apply to language teachers because the teacher's identity is not being threatened or transformed through the teaching process. The following 4 components are conceptualized to define TM by Donier and Ushioda, 2011. Now let us talk about the brief history of motivation theories. Motivation can be divided into 2 large categories. One is content theories, and the other is process theories. This classic human needs model by Maslow back in 1943 is still influential, although there are still some criticisms among researchers. As you can see, the very lowest tier is the most basic need, such as food and shelter, whereas the highest tier is more complicated need for self-actualization, the desire for an individual to reach their full potential. Maslow insists that in order to achieve the highest tier, a number of more basic needs must be met. Another popular theory is DSH, dual structure hypothesis by Herzberg, 1968. DSH is based on the concept that factors affecting job satisfaction are distinct from those that affect job dissatisfaction. According to this DSH model, intrinsic factors such as achievement or growth affect satisfaction, while extrinsic factors such as company policies or salary affect dissatisfaction. The other categorization is a group of process theories. The basic mechanism of the process theories behind job satisfaction is the fit between the person's beliefs and the reality of the job. This category includes the following 4 theories. Here are the definitions of job satisfaction for the purposes of this study. We support the interpretation of Pennington, 1991. As I mentioned in the beginning, this study is a partial replication study of Kasabji, Boré, and Shumet, 2001 research. And we try to examine if the development of social networking in the past 20 years brought any important influence on ESL, EFL teachers inside, outside our country. The study of Kasabji et al. Is a pioneer in the area of ESL, EFL teacher motivation. Additionally, it paved the way for further research for ESL, EFL teacher researchers, as well as many language institutions. Their study also identified 6 key motivators. Here, taking these views and findings into perspective, Our study sought to re-examine this issue with a much larger and diverse sample of ESL and EFL teachers by asking the following. 1. What aspects of work are most important to ESL, EFL teachers? 2. What sort of rewards do these teachers get from their current jobs? 3. How satisfied are ESL, EFL teachers with their jobs and their careers? So Hyunsik will now take over after this. So I just close the slide. Okay, Hyunsik.
Okay. I cannot share my screen.
Sorry. Yeah, now you can do it. Sorry,
Okay.
Hyunsik.
Okay, I am Hyunsuk Park, and I will be talking about the method and result of this study. An online questionnaire was used to gather data on teachers' perception about the values associated with a career in ESL and EFL teaching, the rewards they felt they were receiving in their current ESL and EFL job, and their level of career and job happiness. In other words, their job and career satisfaction. The questionnaire was largely based on the one used by Kasabi et al. And as you can see in the table, the questionnaire consists of 4 sections. The first one included the asked participant the values associated with a career in ESL and EFL teaching. And section 2 asked them to indicate how strongly the statements are related to their current job. The 4 additional items were included in section 2 to measure career happiness and job happiness. For demographic data, we added some items like country of residence, teaching context, ESL versus EFL, and formal versus informal context, participant level of training and language ability. Yes, in this case, the value means how teachers think their job is the elements are important, and then rewards indicate the actual job situation. So the procedures, the first of all, a questionnaire was modified. Unlike the original study, which had used a paper-based one, we used an online questionnaire with a Google form, and invitations encouraging teachers out there to participate in the study were sent electronically through email, posted on TESOL listservs, and disseminated through social media and personal emails and so on. We opened the Google form for 9 days and received a total of 368 submissions. To analyze the data, SPSS version 24 was used. And initially, we received 368 responses, but 5 of them were discarded due to being incomplete. So a total of 363 submissions from about 37 countries were analyzed. It was about 3 times more compared to the original study, which had 107 responses from 2 countries, Egypt and the United States. And although our participants are all over the world, many of them are from the United States and Japan. In terms of gender, we had a much greater number of female teachers than male teachers. Also, the majority of the participants were native speakers of English, both in EFL and ESL context. Ages range 20s to 70s. The participants at their ages of 30s to 50s account for about 74%, and most of them had taught English between 10 to 29 years. About 90% of the participants either held master's and doctorate degrees or were attending the graduate schools at the time of the study. Also, about 73% of the respondents identified their target learners as university and college students. The overall means of the 36, it's about the research question 1. What aspects of work and most important to ESL and EFL teachers? Initially, the overall means of the 36 teacher value items was 4.05 out of 5. The mean score of teacher values implies that our respondents consider their jobs to be important. Out of 36 items, 23 question items received the overall means of 4 or higher. That is almost 2/3 of the 36 items were considered the important elements of teaching. In the original study, 15 out of 36 items received the overall means of 4.5 or higher. Despite the slightly different rankings, the same items are ranked as the top 6 in both the studies. So it is indicated in the blue ones. And so the result indicates that our respondents value autonomy as well as intrinsic aspects of teaching. The least important aspects of teaching are having a prestigious job title and having a good relationship with my student family. These 2 items were identified as the least important items in both the present and the original study. Among 36 rewards items, 8 items received an overall mean higher than 4 points out of 5. There were 14 items higher than 4 points in the original study. The blue ones are the items which also appeared on the top 14 items in the original study. As you can see, only one item, the top one, I have a friendly relationship with my students, was not on the list of the items higher than 4 points in the original study. It's a big difference between the present study and original study. Okay, and then these 3 items are the ones that ESL and EFL teachers felt they do not get from their job. So the 3 one is, I have a good relationship with the student parents, and the emphasis is on teamwork, and I have prospect for promotion. These are the least rewards. And we also did like factor analysis, and that the factor analysis of responses concerning work values suggests that there are 5 distinct sets of basic wants or needs, which are autonomy, intrinsic motivators, institutional support, relationships, and self-realization. On the other hand, the factor analysis of job rewards indicates 4 factors, including management, position, intrinsic motivators, effect of teaching. And then research question 3 investigated how satisfied the ESL and EFL teachers are with their jobs and their careers. The research results showed that ESL and EFL teachers consider their work and career important as the overall mean for value items is 4.05 out of 5. On the other hand, the overall mean for rewards they were getting from their current job is 3.42 out of 5. The result indicated that what one values in a job or career and what one actually receives may be disparate. There exists a strong positive correlation between rewards and job happiness, which means the rewards associated with a particular job increase, so the teacher's happiness with it. Okay, this is my part. I'm done. And then.
Okay, thanks, Hyun-suk. Let me just get mine set up. Okay, oh, that's a little bit off, isn't it? Okay. Where are we? Okay, all right. I hope you can see my screen. Right then. So thanks, Hyun-suk. So we've just got a few minutes left. So I'm going to look through and just pick out some of the things that we've learned from examining all this data. I thought I'd just go back and start off here. We've got this which when we were talking about job satisfaction, and that we would expect to find fit between those underlying values and expectations, and then the reality, the rewards. So we would expect to find some fit there. But however, the teachers seem to report valuing certain aspects of their career very highly, but then in reality, we were finding out that reality doesn't always match these ideals, and so that happened in a number of instances. And the one that I'll just maybe focus on today is looking at autonomy. And so, when we think about autonomy for teachers, we're probably thinking about things like the ability to meet the needs of our students, to be in control of their learning, of what's happening in the classroom, and then also to be able to make change within our teaching so that we can meet their needs. Because it's something that we often say as teachers, is that we know our students best, we know what's best for them, not somebody who's creating the curriculum or creating the syllabi who we have to follow. And so we can see that in the values, the question here, being able to introduce changes without going through red tape. And you see, so that's got quite a positive response at 4.14. But when we look over at the rewards about whether teachers are actually able to do this, we can see that there's quite a fall, and it's getting a neutral response here, because remember, we've got that 5-point Likert scale for our questions. So it seems that there's definitely a shortfall here. And so when we look closely at autonomy, it's kind of held up as an ideal, but I think for many in the teaching profession, we're kind of resigned to the fact that, unfortunately, complete autonomy is just unrealistic in most circumstances, that there are so many other factors at work within our workplaces, that we realize that while we dream of having complete autonomy over our classes and our students, it's not a deal breaker for us when we realize that we don't have it, and so it doesn't have such a negative, not obtaining this doesn't have such a negative effect on our overall job satisfaction. Moving on, just to have a look, we also wanted to have a look at some of what were the major differences between our study and the original study that happened. It's 21, 22 years ago now. And so one of the big changes we saw, Hyun-Suk was talking about the factor analysis that we talked about. And you could see that when it came to looking at the values of the teachers, we could see that relationships and relationship orientation, that was the fourth most important factor for the teachers. But this had actually fallen from the original study, where it was much higher in the past. And so when we think a little bit more about relationships within the workplace, then I think first of all, that relationship orientation is dealing with our relationships with colleagues, our relationships with supervisors, whether we are enjoying work, whether we are relaxed, and whether we have peace of mind with our work. And these are the sorts of questions that are being asked. And I think 20 years ago, when we think about those sorts of questions, it would have been very much based in the teacher's lounge. That would have been one of the most important places within our workplace where we get this kind of support. If we what happened in the teachers' round, basically that's where we develop as teachers. We share our ideas, we get lesson plans, we help each other, we offer assistance. It's a place where you can vent your frustrations, and there's a shoulder to cry on. And this is all happening within very close to work. But I think what we've seen in the last 25 years is that this has moved online. And especially in our research happened before the pandemic, but of course, in the last 2 years, this has happened even more. And I imagine that most teachers now, I imagine some of the people watching today, you'll be you'll be on Facebook, you'll be in some kind of teaching group online. You'll look for lesson plans and ideas for classes on websites dedicated to teaching. And so we've moved away from like the small confines of the teachers' lounge. And while that's of course, it's still vital in many ways, and all of these things still happen in the teachers' lounge, there's other options now. And so this has led to this kind of it falling down in the order of in the rank of importance, I think, despite it still existing. Another kind of thing that we should look at differences between the two studies is, well, we had a look at where are we? Yeah, I think we saw earlier when Hyun-Suk was looking at the ranking of the responses, and we could see that the top responses and the lowest responses. We can see that in terms of our values and rewards, I mean, there's helping our students to learn, having a friendly relationship with students, ranking at the highest, and at the lowest, this idea of having a prestigious on our values and on our rewards. And I think this kind of paints a picture which I think we'd all appreciate of teachers as being some kind of angelic figure. We have these high morals, and and of course we all buy into this dream. But I think as well, it's not. We want to be careful not to buy into that too much. I think if we think about the nature of teaching and the nature of our classes, we're very much stuck in the present. We have students. We're on this constant cycle of students coming into our classes. We're teaching them within our classes and helping them reach their goals, and then moving them on to the next level, whether it be the next class or onto graduation and something like that. So I worry that we don't want to be just focusing on ourselves as being these wonderful individuals. I think that's very much the nature of our work, and unfortunately I think that means that we don't focus so much, because we're so much in the present. We're not actually focused on the future at all, and we're not looking at our own career paths. We're not looking at how we can improve our lot in life, because we spend so much of our time focused on the here and now. That's not to say though that this idea of it's completely untrue. And if anyone, maybe Paul, if you're thinking of getting yourself one of these little figurines, you can see it's actually they are only $12 on Amazon if anybody wants one of these beautiful little figurines showing the teachers as angels. I'm definitely going to get one. I think I might take it into all of my classrooms this year. We've got a few minutes left. Wow, have we got a few minutes left? What time have we got? Just time's running out. So yes, John?
Technically, 25 minutes should signal the end of it. So if you have any concluding thoughts, this would be a good time for them. Yeah,
so let's we were going to, I think just to conclude, we were a little bit hamstrung by replicating the study, and so that's something you've got to be wary of when if you are replicating a study. It's very difficult to, and something from 25 years ago, it's very difficult to go in and to move in new directions. We also we tried to go as broad as possible in as many different countries as we can, so we didn't get a very in-depth look at any one context. And of course, we got a lot of teaching groups within each country. And so I think we've gone very thinly and very narrow. So I think this gives us, there's more scope for this. There aren't many studies really that look at teacher motivation, and how it affects students and how on student outcomes. And so I think that there's a lot of scope for future research in this area. But I think, time's up, isn't it? So. Does anyone have any questions before the time runs out and we get kicked out of the Zoom?
If you do have questions, you could just say it out loud or type it in chat.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the chat.
Okay, seems like there are no questions. So everybody, if you could either use the clapping icon or you could applaud. A round of applause for our presenters. And
Thank
the
you.
presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
and
you very
if anyone
much.
has any questions, please emails are always good because we haven't got that much time now.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck getting your degrees done.
Yeah.
James, are you the only one, or have your co-presenters finished?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm not
Okay.
yet. I thought Hyun, did you finish?
No, I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, one of these days we'll all get done.
Excellent.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, everyone.
Right.
Thank you, John. Thank you for
Thank you
hosting.
very much, John.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for presenting.